Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leftovers Reverse Podcast. I'm Sean, the host, as I like to say, Matt, the PowerPoint guy, and we have Andrew with us from, forgive me, I raced in here. Where are you from, Andrew?
Looking for mom.
Oh, that's right. There we go. Thank you. I did all that prep and failed miserably tonight. But anyway, thank you for joining us. I'm very happy to have you on here. As you know, if you've seen us, we like to talk to everybody who loves this world of polygaming as we do, as we like to say.
Sean's covering up really good. Sean literally was like running through his house, ripping off his Scoutmaster uniform and slid.
It's true.
At 9 o'clock. He's like,
I ran in. So just so everybody knows, we did our live broadcast 2 days ago. There can only be 2 hosts on SteamYard, so I had to be removed because Matt was on. I didn't have privileges. Then suddenly they came back to me in the middle of the roll. So we just.
I wondered who was hitting the button.
It was me. It just came back. I needed a comment. I said, and now my privileges are back because everything suddenly populated. So I guess it was just on delay. But anyway, welcome everyone. I'm so glad to have a good night. Let's see who we got. Darcy, welcome back. We missed you last week. Mia's Game Room, hello. Real MacGuffin. Oh, hey, beginner. And you got some fans, Andrew. I'm telling you what. Hello, Darcy.
They're all my co-GMs. I'm looking for more.
Are they? Hey, yeah. It's good to have your crew backing you up. Just say it. Welcome.
Yeah. Love them.
And, now first we're going to start off with, I was listening to Matt and he failed to tell our guests that Matt starts off with PowerPoints. So
I warned him. You were scouting. I gave him the whole thing. So hey, just so everybody knows, if you missed it, Tuesday night, we had our first episode of Eat the Reich. If you don't know what Eat the Reich is, it's basically Inglorious Bastards, except if they were all vampires. It's a very interesting, cool, narrative-driven system. And episode 2, our finale will be on the 25th of February, 9 to 11 p.m. So catch us then, and you can get caught up on our page. And also just to let you know that in March, we're going to be starting on March 4th with a short run of the Electric State. Should be running all through March, culminating on April 1st, where I can't hold it up because Nathan has it. We will be giving away a limited edition hardcover of the Electric State rulebook. So dial in, tune in, watch, and maybe win. Looking ahead to the future, a couple quick changes. So the 27th, in fact, let's see. I haven't updated the slide 100%. So on the 27th, our guests have asked to be Initiative 0 to be pushed back a week. They've got some real life stuff that their schedule changes. So we're more than happy to accommodate. So we'll be talking Palladium Rifts in March. And then we just got on the schedule Mitch Wallace, who's a personal friend of the show. Nathan's, we've done interviews on him for, now I'm going to have a senior moment. Oh my gosh, we've done 2 interviews with him on 2 different games, and now I can't remember, but he's going to be on to talk about new content for Cult Divinity Lost. Why? Necrobiotic is one of them, and I can't remember the other, and it'll come to me like halfway through the show, I'm sure, at a random time. Right. Well, that comes to an end, my updates and senior moment for now. And you're mute, so I'm not the only one having a senior moment tonight, Sean.
I'm typing a lot. I'm sorry, my Aya. I think I got that right. Fuck, I don't know. I got a lot going on. So thank you, but I want to bring this up real quick. I just want to comment on something that distracted me a little bit tonight. Me and Matt as well. Member of our group, I'm not going to drop his name out there, is having bypass surgery, sudden heart bypass surgery. He's at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, very good prognosis. I just want to put that out there that we're thinking about you, bud. If you happen to be listening tonight, I'm not going to put your information out there, but I wish you the best. And with that,
I love how sentimental you are. I just want everyone to know that if you could see our Discord.
Oh no,
we are handling. For as somber as this is, we are handling it in our typical fashion of using humor.
So I'll say this, but
awful humor.
I work late. I don't check my Discord even on the nights we do this, and I get this thing text from him. He goes, "Hey, they're going to open my chest." Now I knew he had some things, so I sent back a message. Oh, they're gonna crack her chest. I've seen that live, and my former profession, I had to see a lot of stuff. And then I called him like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm getting a bypass, my aorta's blocked, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. So I just told him, I said, well, you're in a good hospital and heart surgeons, this is routine now. That's a good thing. And he was talking to me on the phone and texting me. It is pretty heavy, but in typical fashion, we don't take it that seriously. And he wasn't even taking it that seriously at some point. So we tried in the theater of the serve. When faced with crisis, you do that. I'm sorry about my senior moment not recognizing somebody we interviewed.
A previous guest, yeah.
It was a very good guest, by the way. And the podcast is excellent. Listening to it, because I did get to listen to it. And the ending was crazy, man. Anyway,
if you saw, it sounds like they're going to have season 2 is going to be starting as March as well. So I will definitely be listening to that as well. All right, so we've rambled. Let's get in.
Let's go. No, Andrew,
don't let our professionalism dazzle you too much, Andrew.
So Andrew, I want to start with your life story and how you got it. The same thing we did with everybody. How did you get into the gaming? And about what age, what you start with, and your progression till here you are today.
All right.
You don't have to give us too much detail, but if you give us as much as you want.
So I was doing some math earlier today, and I think I was 10 years old when I started.
Wow. Okay.
And I started with 2nd edition Advanced D&D. Actually, first edition AD&D. So that kind of places me. I was born the same day ARPANET was created.
Wow.
Precursor to the internet for those. Google that if you want to know exactly how old I am. But yeah, so I've been doing this
for... you were 10 and you played 1st edition, you're probably about the same age as us. Close, right? Yeah. Whatever that magic.
Whatever that is, yeah.
You just lived a better life than us, apparently, by the way you look. So good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been playing literally decades. I took a little bit of break in university. Actually, not that much. I played a lot of Shadowrun. In Vampire Masquerade in college.
Oh wow.
And got back into it like pretty much around pandemic when it started. My brothers, actually it was my older brother who introduced it to me when I was a kid, because they were playing it at school in their enrichment class. They got a whole period to play it at school. So he brought it home and I was hooked. Like it was like Coke for me. It was I couldn't get enough of it.
So they were playing it. So that's an interesting story. They were playing it at school. I can't imagine. I'll be honest. It wasn't until just a few years ago that I would actually openly talk about gaming, at work or out, I can't imagine like that. That's pretty, I mean, that's a good environment. I could not imagine of trying to play, D&D out in the open like that, back then, or, just a bunch of people walking by yelling at me going nerd or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that was right around the time the Satanic Panic happened.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Tom, what's his actor? Tom Hanks made a movie about it, sort of,
Yeah.
So people forget that award-winning award he was in, but my parents were cool with it. I thought it was the silliest thing in the world. But I was into heavy metal and they were I remember Frank Zappa going off on Congress, and Dee Snider of all people, like Twisted Sister walking in, and it was pretty wild.
No, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I hit my head. Yeah. See, I can remember some things, but anywho, so you did that. You played Shadowrun, Vampire the Masquerade. That's an interesting game to pick up at the time of the pandemic, get back into, right?
No, college.
College. I thought he said pandemic. I misunderstood him. I was thinking
it's a very college game, right?
It is a goth game. You know what? You're absolutely right. Everybody played it in college. And all my goth friends played it. Yeah.
Yep.
We all went from being heroes. We all wanted to be dark and mysterious, and live in the shadows. Yeah.
And then as an adult, I guess I put it aside for a little bit after I graduated, and then I picked it up just shortly again before the pandemic. My brothers we were all kind of scattered across Canada and Bermuda, said, hey, why don't we just start playing online again when the VTT thing started picking up, and that got me back into it around the end of 4th edition, 5th edition. And yeah, since then I haven't turned back, and I've just gotten deeper into the weeds since then, playing all sorts of systems, kind of moved away from Dungeons and Dragons into other games, but like Daggerheart.
Yeah, VTTs, it's one of those things where if someone asks, like, in any given day, would you rather play VTT or in person? I would probably say in person. But given that, because we tried, I don't know what software it was, but we tried a VTT ages ago. We tried playing, like, I think it was a Star Wars game or something with some friends. We had a friend who moved to California, and the technology was really rough, right? And we kind of gave up on it, but it's definitely made connecting and being able to play consistently like so much better, because all of us have scattered as well.
Oh yeah,
right. Like we couldn't do this pod. We don't live close. Couldn't have us get to a studio. So yeah, it's been a great way to connect. There's it's probably never been a better time if you're like looking to find a gaming group or anything. There's so many services out there and stuff like that to find people.
100%.
And you can expand on that too. And I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but look what we're doing now. So one of the things I'm amazed is, like, everybody, people on here, as we've been able to talk to such a diverse group of people, different areas of the country, even completely different backgrounds, with the same joy as we do. And we've had some people get into it in their 20s or college. Like, our story's similar. We all started young, but then it's like, I started in college. We had the one group on, they all started in college, and we're like, how is that interesting? And they, in a few years, they're like online doing this. And that is just, to me, that's been one of the joys of this podcast, is meeting people like you and hearing the stories and the systems and what you do. So that's my piece of it. Now, please go on.
Oh, I echo that sentiment 100%. The online gaming, that online TTRPG community is incredible. It's one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. Just the openness, the creativeness, the support you get. It's quite.
I think
amazing.
You're right. You get in these times, I'm going to say this, and I believe it. I think you see more of the best of people, right? The way it should be. And that's refreshing, especially I'll just leave it at that, because we try and keep it light here. Me and my silliness. So there's a question I have. Of your systems you've played, what do you consider, not current? You can use the current one if you want, but is there any particular ones you really enjoyed the most, or systems like dice systems you enjoy the most, more than any other?
Sure. I've had different favorites at different times in my life. At one point, all I knew, lived, breathed, dreamed of was D&D. But since I started branching out, I think more recently, especially, I've started getting to more narrative-focused games, a little less crunch, a little bit more storytelling, and that I think has suited my style of play a little more. I didn't realize until I started experimenting with other systems that could be the experience. And then when you start listening to podcasts like audio, like actual plays, you can hear how most of them, the popular ones I find anyway, are more story driven. So both the characters and the interactions, as opposed to rolling dice doing math. Because honestly, I can't listen to people doing math.
Nobody likes math. Unless there's some gamers like that like math. Like if you're playing Warhammer 40K, you got the little figure each. You're doing a lot of math there, by the way, guys. But if you're, it's like Nathan's like that. I just want to do the thing. Nathan wants the story to go along, and there's a joy to that, right? You don't have to do the math all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like the journey of PowerPoint, right? When you first get PowerPoint. Well, you first like PowerPoint slide, you make like, maybe it's like a few bullets, right? You make a few bullets, right? And then you learn, I could put different colors, I could put different shapes. I can make that fly in, right? And at some point you've got this super convoluted, PowerPoint slide. And in the very end, you go back to the bullets, right? It's the and so so the narrative thing for me, I tend to be one of the more I don't say if I enjoy crunch. I like rules if the rule systems help the game feel the way it should.
Yeah.
But we have experimented recently with some more rules light games, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. And yeah, so I get it. Yeah, it's there's like it was sometimes you might want something a little crunchier, but sometimes it's nice to not have to roll every time you like want to do anything. You can just kind of like save the dice and I don't know. So very cool.
Like I think for is it safe to say our generation, when we picked up
you're good.
TTRPGs at the beginning, like I started with war games, like the Avalon Hill war games, the bookcase games.
Yeah.
And then I moved from that into D&D.
and
Exactly.
yeah.
So it was very much about optimizing your actions and the numbers and the crunching and all that stuff. So it was a natural. And I think D&D actually started that way too, as a war game almost.
Yeah.
So I think with 5th edition and the 2024 rule set, I think they're trying to break away from that a little bit as much as they can, but I think they're still constrained, in my opinion. That's why I don't play it much anymore, by their core rules. And I think it's so refreshing just to go out and experiment and just try other systems and see what else is out there that might suit your.
Yeah, there's so much out there, and like we've said this before on other podcasts, is like Nathan's, like it was over a year ago now, Matt. When he goes, I realize that I will not live long enough to finish all the games I like. And I was like, Jesus, Nathan, you're the Grim Reaper. Like I felt like I was going to die when he said that. But there's some truth to it, right? Because there's so much content coming out. So it's I mean, we talked to the younger guests, like we're like, go play everything you can, because there's so much variations. Like I was listening to a live show with the vampire, which was pretty much pre-gen characters and everything 2 days ago, and they just jumped right into it and you go. And I have a 2-page, I don't have it in front of me, it was a game I was supposed to run. It's Mothership, and it's a Moonblaze Blues, and we got bombed. It was supposed to be my first game in live. It was still fun, but I didn't even touch it. It's 2 pages, it's a front and back, and you got pre-gen characters that it's like 6 lines. And I just think you if you want to play, there's things out there. You can get stuff that's so you actually maybe need more math to play it, but there's stuff out there if you have the imagination. I agree with you. It's like you got to have fun doing it. It's what we always say. And regardless of how you play, I've had guys on here who've created. What's that one guy, Matt? He kept creating stuff. He had all this stuff like saved. He created all these things and
a
lot of math.
Guy.
Yeah, and he was amazing. But then we have people like you guys that come to you and others that just come and roll for flow for story. Both are fun if you want to do them.
Yep.
And I agree. I sort of, I agree with your point of view on a lot of things. Now, currently, what's your big game? Is it this Daggerheart, right?
It's probably Daggerheart, but I just ran an outgunned one shot not too long ago, and I loved that system.
What is that? Explain it to me.
That looks super slick and
explain that to me, because I've seen it. I don't understand any of it. I've just seen it.
If you've seen Dimension 20's Never Stop Blowing Up, it's a lot like that. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, well, cool. It's another game we got to try. Oh my god,
it is. It is so much fun. I love the dice system. Two Little Mice. It's the same system as Household.
Okay. There we go.
Is this it right here? Yeah.
Oh, the art looks just incredible.
Yeah.
People falling, a gun in the air, and a guy holding the bag, and is that money coming out? Oh my god! Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely recommend this one. This is a whole lot of fun.
So what's the system? What system? So it uses, let's say, small pools of dice to determine the outcome of the hero's actions. So how does this play? So how do you do this? The pools, because this is sounding a lot like what we just played with Eat the Right.
Yeah,
so
it does.
How does that work when you're running that? What does it mean? Like you're building the dice pools to determine.
So you have dice pools. You have your attributes and your skills, and you kind of create your pool from that. They're all D6, but instead of like trying to hit a target number of 5 or 6. You're looking for pairs, triples, 4 of a kind, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that does sound like 2 days ago because I was
Close,
listening to you
right?
guys. It's
Similar,
close.
right?
Yeah.
So in that, if you get like a different like sort of doubles or 3 of a kind or something like that, is it what happens then? Do you get to narrate like what the outcome is, or how does that sort of
Yeah.
work in
So,
a
for
scene?
example, as the I forgot what they call it, the game master, the director in this game, sets a number like you need to have 3 of a kind to succeed at this test, or you need 4 of a kind or 2 pair, something like that. And the nice thing about this system is it encourages players to push. I don't know if you played your Zero Engine games where
Yes.
you push your rolls.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's very much like that. And when you push, it's exactly that. And
you ever play
kind of
Alien?
raises the stakes a bit.
You ever play Alien? Oh yeah, I love it. Alien. I love pushing rolls, man. Yeah. Oh God. That's awesome.
Very cool.
That does sound very cool.
Yeah, I'd seen this when I was at PAX, but we have not played that. So that's so this is Outgunned. So we'll have to add that to our list of all the tons of games we want to play.
There, let me get out the scroll of things we need to do. It's over here in the corner. Weighs about 50 pounds now. But
so we had Mai on. So tell us a little bit about Finding Mom. And how
Finding Mom, yes,
we found a
conversation,
right?
I love that. I love that.
So tell how that kind of came about, how you got involved with that, kind of a little bit about the group. Although
Finding Mom,
I'm going to assume that people who listen to us have already forgotten what we already talked about a few months ago. So
I'm going to find a link to the episode and put it up so we can.
So we were a group of game masters. I think split up over 3 or 4 different Discord servers, but we kind of like knew about each other and liked each other's vibe in terms of how we approached playing TTRPGs and our communities. So I think similar to your story, we just figured, hey, why don't we give this a try? It's a lot easier to do this with 5 of us as opposed to each one of us trying to branch out on our own. We have a bit of a support structure. We help each other out. We cross promote and we have a broader audience. And I think one of our mandates is diversity, not only in our representation, but also in the games that we play. So if you go to our channel on YouTube, you'll see that we play anything and everything we can get our hands on. So I think that's basically Looking for Mom in a nutshell.
Very
cool.
And I gotta say, my fellow GMs are amazing. And now you guys some of you are listening at least anyway.
Well, let me get that. So I just post, anybody's interested in our Electric State broadcast. I just put the link up and it was a very good podcast.
And I'm going to hope this should be you guys, right?
Yep. Looking for Mom. That's it. I remember from before. I remember reading that and just laughing. I listened to a little of that. It was funny. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I just don't have I have no life, man. I have no life. I have a kid, bills. There's so much stuff I want to listen to. I try to listen to my car and I can't listen to all of it.
You can see here. So these are all different systems, right? Or not all different, but they're all.
We got Brindle Bay, we got City of Mist, Otherscape, Mothership. I think a Morphborg one is starting up. I'm running Alien, Daggerheart, the One Ring.
Morphborg's like that game you can't play a long time. You just got to play a few episodes because you just can't. It's because it's the way it is. We played a few. It's like, how can you continue in this? Like, I don't know how you can continue it. I don't know if I could. I enjoy it.
You should expect to die.
Yes, that's right. You should expect, like, if you play a long game of Morphborg, you're doing something wrong.
Not a system designed for the long campaign. 130 episodes into Morphborg. I mean, the world is ending every day you're rolling. It kind of puts a bookend on the game. That's very cool. All right. Well, then you know what? Why don't we
you want to take
right into? Oh, you want me to take my little break here, right?
Yeah. Why don't you take your little break here get it done so we can enjoy the last after
Get it done out of here. All right.
You were probably warned to buy this, Andrew, but
I was.
Yes, he was. Very good. Very good.
All right. All right. Well, if you're enjoying,
that's our starting
watching
soon screen.
Yes,
Okay,
it is. I'd say if you're enjoying,
good job,
thanks,
man.
Sean. If you're enjoying the leftovers and any of our other program, make sure you please go out, like, subscribe, promote, pass it to a friend. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Just to let folks know, we have stood up a second stream called the AARPG Live. It is on Spotify and Apple. We're going to get caught up eventually, but this is where we have been posting content like this that has only been on YouTube and only in a live format and or video format and not on our regular podcast stream. So that's now available again in podcast and Apple. And then also, just as always, I'm hawking my, what do you call them, Sean? Substandard shirts.
I changed it to adequate
adequate
shirts.
So if you're looking for an adequate gift for your
but an amazing hoodies, trust me,
for your role playing friend or friend who's leveled up their age stat, you can come check out our store. We've got great original design artwork. And you just show your geek chic, and that's it. I'm getting quicker and quicker. One day I'm just going to record all this, Sean, so I won't even have
no.
Stop
We're not going to have a scrolling marquee and just like insult our guests. We should.
There we go.
So that's good. Matt, I'm sorry, you were going to go into something, please.
I was going to say, let's talk Daggerheart.
I know that's the direction I was going. I want to hear all about this.
All right,
that's you.
What do you guys want to know?
Everything. Everything.
So the good news is, so having a good background in D&D. I think one of the things with us, one of the ways I'm really interested in Daggerheart is that we one of the shows that we had was a D&D show that we did, and it was funny. We released our second season of that show the same week that the OGL scandal hit. And we were kind of like, okay, well, this is good timing, right? And so, I still love D&D. It's the first game I played. I bought the new player's guide. I'm not going to turn my back. But I also know that since we've started doing this, there's a lot of different alternatives. So one thing I've been looking at is looking at an alternative to do the final chapter for our D&D game. It's called Sex, Drugs, and Saving Throws. And so we're looking at Savage Worlds. We're looking at a couple other different systems, but Daggerheart was intriguing. And so I'm kind of curious, since you've had a chance you've run both systems, kind of maybe laying out some of the things that are similar or different for people who have largely played mostly D&D. So I guess maybe just a little bit about the system,
Sure.
systems of note, maybe some, I don't know, whatever you or your players have found interesting. And if you want to talk about anything specific, let me know. I'll try to bring it up on the screen.
All right, no worries. I think anyone who has played D&D before, Daggerheart will feel comfortable or familiar, at least. It is a high fantasy setting. You got your elves, orcs, all that good stuff. Even furbolgs and those kinds of creatures have made it over to Daggerheart. So it's the same kind of feel, same genre. The main difference I find is Daggerheart, as you know, was created by folks over at Darrington Press, creators of Critical Role. And you can tell as you read through the source material, as you start playing it, it fits that table. Those set of players, Matt Mercer, DMing, that's the way they play. And this basically helps them tell their story. So as you mentioned earlier about mechanics kind of supporting the story, that's kind of what Daggerheart does here. It helps you tell those types of stories. It's not as narratively focused as, for example, like Blades in the Dark type games or even City of Mist. There is a bit of crunch to it, but it's not as overwhelming or down to the minutiae as something like D&D, where you can get lost in like spell mechanics or feats or things like that. A lot of that is abstracted out to a single like domain card. So it's a lot.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It could be a word.
No, I'm going to say, yeah, that was. So we'll have to circle back to the cards. Yeah, sorry.
So the cards. Okay, keep going. And is it a D? I'm going to assume it's a D20 system. Am I right? Or is it a card?
2D12.
2D12.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, let me bring that.
Different.
This is the only thing I know about this game. So yeah, we should definitely talk about
Okay.
the dice system that's used in this, right?
Right.
Because it
So
is interesting.
Yeah, Daggerheart. Like if you read the beta rules, the real rules aren't coming out until May, but the beta rules they even list some of their inspiration, like touch points they call them, other systems that they've taken ideas from. This whole idea of duality dice, 2d12, one to represent hope, another to represent fear, is based on the Genesis TTRPG multi-axis die system. So when you make a roll of 2d12, this is in lieu of a d20 in D&D. If the hope die ends up with a value greater than the fear die, you could say that roll was with hope. And if the fear die is greater than hope, it's with fear. So you would say, let's say you roll 13 with hope or with fear. And so even though that might exceed or the target number you're trying to reach, depending on whether you succeeded with hope or fear, that could narratively drive different outcomes to.
So it sounds like it gives you a lot of leeway, right? In how you want to interpret the die roll.
It does. Instead of a straight binary pass or fail, you have these nuances of you pass, but at a cost, or you fail, but you've gained some sort of advantage.
I could see where that would be appealing.
Yeah, it's the closest that we've ever played anything like this was there was a Star Wars like Edge of the Empire or something.
Exactly.
That had a very similar system where you would roll, but you could succeed, but you could get like a dark force point or something. There was a way to have, even at succeeding, something could go wrong, right? You know, and so I was fascinated by this because I love this idea of, I would say probably one of the biggest drawbacks from just standard gaming is often that binary, right? Where you are, completely trapped. You've waited 10, 15, if you're in a big group, right? You've waited 10 or 15 minutes for your turn, you roll, and it's like you miss, right? At least with this system, there's like, there's a way to engage both as a GM and a player. So yeah, this definitely seems like something that was an interesting mechanic.
And when you describe like a role, whether it be hope or fear, or whether you pass or fail, a lot of that. I'm going to back up a bit. One of the reasons why I like Daggerheart is because I'm a lazy game master.
That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to say that right now.
With Daggerheart, I can really push a lot of that storytelling onto the players. I look to them to tell me, how do you interpret that role? Like if you roll with fear or hope, how does that make you feel? How does your character react? And with Daggerheart especially, it really encourages players to take control of the narrative. So I'll often ask players, describe the room that you're in, or describe an NPC to me. And then we just kind of riff off each other. And a lot of it is improvised on the spot. Like for example, my home game, they're kind of like all loose cannons. So I can't prepare for them at all. I tried and I threw it out after 2 sessions. So it's all improv with them. But it's amazing and it's so easy.
There's something too about that, like, because even in a structured game, and I've done this to Matt, by the way, where he planned something and I said, no, we're not doing it because I was the leader. And we've done everybody, like I wish Malcolm was on, he would be saying horrible things about us right now because he was one of our big game masters too. And you take the whole story off the rails, and all this book of stuff you've created is out the window. There's something cool to that though. It's like, what's it, stream of consciousness gaming, for lack of better words, right? I think, I wouldn't call you lazy at all doing that, because if you're really doing that and you're playing like all these different angles all the time, I think that's a lot of work. It shows you got some creativity, because it's very good. Only somebody very good at creating a world, crafting a world, I think it can play off like that and just make it flow, right? And we see it online, but we all have friends that do it, and the Matt Mercer and Brendan Lee Mulligan and all of them. They're great.
Yeah.
And they're just top of my head. They just popped into my mind. But we all have friends like that can do the same thing. We just didn't start doing it 10 years earlier, or we'd be the ones sitting there making the game systems, right? So I think that's pretty cool.
I think there's been an interesting change in the storytelling dynamic over the decades, right? So you said the original role-playing games were designed by strategy game makers, right? And that's very structured, very rigid. Early D&D, it's hard to picture today a world where you have a group of people and one person at the table is the person who's designated to make the call for the group, right?
Caller.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
there was a book defined.
And the GM and so what I think has been interesting, and I really like it, even for myself, it's a bit of a mental change, is this idea of the collaborative storytelling, and not just the GM explaining everything, saying what everyone looks like, saying what every MP, that there is 8 more agency, and you're right, you're lazy, right? Because I got you, is that there is a different way where the world isn't just presented to the players, they're part of it. And I think that crafts a narrative that they're more invested in. Like,
100%.
Yeah. So that's very cool.
When
anything else? Oh, go ahead.
One real quick thing. So only somebody else that did that was a Dork Day. We had Dork Day on podcast, and he loved sort of like the same thing. Like he would make his players describe something or create an event, which he used later. So that's what Matt's referred to. Now you're more free flowing, but what he did was that's how he went off the script. Like he would add to his story, which is a different way of doing what basically you're doing. It's like basically saying you describe the person, which I've never heard actually. Now I think about it, you describe the person you're encountering, which I think nobody's ever said that to me in all my years of gaming. So for me, that's a first. I think that's pretty incredible. I think it's amazing. And I don't even know how I would answer. If you did that to me, I would just look at you like you grew 3 heads. I wouldn't know what to say. It'd take me a minute. But I think it's really neat because the more I think about it, I think that's a pretty great game master tool. I'm sure one of us will adopt it now and use it. I'm sure we will. That's great. That's a good thing, Andrew. Thank you for sharing that. Matt, go ahead.
I was just say, so anything else that since you started playing that really stood out that might, you'd want people to know especially if they're coming from D&D into Daggerheart, that's something that they might stumble on, or it might be very different for them.
I think the biggest hurdle that I've read of, like in Discord and Reddit, is that Daggerheart is an initiative-less system. There's no initiative.
Huh. There's pros and cons to that, right?
There are. It does put a lot of onus on the players to engage. I know there are going to be differences between the beta rule set and the final rules when they come out in May. In the beta rules, they had the notion of action or tokens or whatever to have keep track of, make sure everybody had a fair chance to act in any given scenario or scene. I know they're taking that away though, but it's an optional rule now, I think.
Do you know, it's even though okay, so theirs is initiative less. We've been playing, we just wrapped up our Dragonbane. Now Dragonbane has initiative, but you can, between the party, you can just change it. You can just go, I got a 1, you got a 7. So it's not like it's not initiative less.
So for those who haven't played it, it's cards. Somebody draws a card, you get a number 1 to 10, and you could switch with another player. You could actually, you could even change with a villain.
You can switch the monster too. Yeah,
you can switch with the monster. Yeah,
you can effectively all collaboratively go, okay, this is the best way we should all act, right? So it's close. It's not quite.
I think that would depend on how good your party cohesion is. Like if you got a really experienced party, you can just do it based on what you're facing. But if you got a really disorganized group, I want to go first. That would be annoying, man, wouldn't it? Like people arguing who should go first. So I guess it's up to the game master. You can always add it though, right? You can always add initiative.
You can. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that you say you must play with initiative less.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah,
I think Um, what I think Daggerheart was trying to do is trying to get away from the meta.
Yeah, I
Because
get
as soon as you have initiative or even have the option to manipulate that, you're just talking above table. Maybe you should go before me, and it takes you out of the story, and you're talking about mechanics.
It's a good point. Good point. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting to see how that would play out. I want to see how it plays out, though. I really want to see how that would play out in a game because
Has
I've
your
never like.
group adapted to it fairly well? Has there
Yeah.
been growing pains with that, or?
I think it takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah.
If you're used to initiative-less games like City of Mist or things like that, then it's not that big a change. But yeah, if you're coming from D&D, that's probably the hardest thing, especially if you're more of a reserved player. You
Oh,
kind of
you
sit
know
back
what?
and you wait
Yeah.
for your turn, you take your action, you take your swing your sword, you miss, you wait another 10, 15 minutes for your turn to come around again. It's not like that. You got to really, if you want to enjoy the game, I think you really need to engage.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. But yeah, if you're beginner, if you as a GM can keep track and make sure everyone is doing something, initiative turns less at initiative less turns pretty interesting. Yeah, it does sound.
Yeah.
I agree with you because I think it does give you. Was it the a vehicle to just play more, just to describe how, why. Yeah, it gives you a little more thought in the character. And I think for somebody reserved, that if done right, it can bring them more into the game, right? Because then
Yeah,
they
I
have to
think
get more
so.
engaged. Yeah, I agree there. I agree.
I do see where if you're the GM, you probably have to make sure. Like I would think, like if I was having a meeting at work, I'd want to make sure that if I noticed that, some people were, dominating the meeting and all that, and I wasn't hearing that, I would see that would definitely be with a system. Because I mean, if you look at the Critical Role folks, like you said, they built a game for them, right? And there's not a whole. There are different personalities amongst them, but they are very comfortable, right? And so I could see where you want to make sure that if you had a person that maybe new to the group or new to the system or just in general more introverted or shy, that they're still getting an opportunity to be part and not always left to the end and like, okay, Bob, what do you want to do?
Exactly.
Yeah, this.
So
Yeah, good Lord, this whole concept of now it's in my mind because I've never done it. So now I'm going, wow, how would this work? I mean, our groups play together for a while, so we'd probably have some bumps, some heads, but I think we'd work it out. But it sounds very interesting. It
and
sounds like an interesting concept.
there's a couple of mechanics as well that kind of promote collaboration between the players.
Mhm.
Like there's this whole tag team thing. So you can spend you collect hope points. So every time you roll with
Yeah.
hope, you collect a hope point. So you can spend 3 hope points and tag team with another player. And perhaps you both get to roll and you get to pick the better of the two rolls. And if it's an attack, you add your damage together for that
Very
attack.
cool.
But you narrate how you tag team on a particular task or attack. That way you can pull other players into what you're doing, into the story. And at least in the beta rules, each player can get up to like 3 action tokens during a battle scene, for example, just to make sure one player isn't dominating and doing everything.
Everything, yeah.
Um,
That
but
that could be so ridiculously fun, because you could like finishing move, and you can start.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
It
Like,
makes me think of superheroes. We always have
X-Men's
I have an
fastball special with Wolverine
right.
and
I have an
Colossus.
old
Here, I'm
I have
not
an old
showing my
video
age again.
game, an old Civil War video game downstairs on the old PS3, and that's one of the things you can do is you can have each character, any two heroes, you can have like a special thing where they combine, like shoot. It's Iron Man shoots Captain America's shield, but it splits all the rays out. So that kind of that is kind of a cool narrative function. That's all right.
That's a very cool narrative function, I think.
So cards. So clearly, and not knowing anything about it, so cards seem to be a major part or theme or component of the game. And as I was looking at the ones from the set, it looks like there's a cards for ancestry, right? So would each player, like when they pick their ancestry, would they have like this card as part of
Oh my
almost
God,
like a deck
be a
or
frog?
would they have these sitting in front of them? I know that'd be awesome.
So
Mr.
creating-
Bibbidi.
You be
Creating
Mr. Ribbity. I can see that right now.
creating a character
I
is
do a clank. I'm sorry. I'm getting into it, man.
Yeah, these guys they're amazing. The way the art is I can't wait to see the final art. But
Oh yeah, this is going to be good stuff.
Character creation is actually very simple. You choose a class, and when you choose a class, you will have a set of class features. So you'll have a card for your class, and a class is built on 2 domains. So there are 9 domains in this game, and a domain is some abstract concept like blade, bone. A warrior combines the domains of blade and bone, for example.
Okay.
So when you create a character of a warrior, you can pick domain cards, one from blade and bone. So at level 1, you have a choice of 6 domain cards, and of those, you can pick 2.
And
So
is that
if
these
you have
here,
2
these Call of the Slayer? Are these
exactly.
them, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So you can end up with 2 warriors in your party, and they would be completely different skills and abilities. And I think
I take it these icons on the banners represent the domains.
Correct.
Okay.
That's from Matt's masterful PowerPoint training. He can identify these things.
So I'll take a look at this one. So there's Call of the Slayer. You wield multiple weapons with dangerous ease. When you make a successful attack roll, you can spend a hope to add 1 damage die from your secondary weapon to the damage. In addition, once per long rest, when you roll your Slayer dice, you can re-roll any ones, taking a new result. So this is kind of like, okay. So this is almost like it's like an ability, right? So, and the hope are the ones you earn from rolling higher on the hope die, right? So okay. So
but it looks like it builds.
Spend them.
But it looks like it builds, Matt. Like the left foundation and specialization and mastery. Right. Unless I'm mistaken.
These are class feature cards.
Okay.
Dude, this whole thing looks like this could be your successor, Matt.
See, so this is the start, and then you upgrade to this, right? And then upgrade to this.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it could be. I mean, I've only seen like a few pages, but it is good. Well, you would know.
Okay.
And as you advance through levels, you can advance your skills along each of these paths. So when you create your character, you basically end up with a collection of cards: 1 for your class, a couple for your domains,
useful.
1 for your ancestry, another for your community.
And that's what these are, right? This Underborn, Wildborn.
Exactly. Okay. And so that's all you have to look at, really, when you're looking at what your character can do. You have a set of 6 ability scores, similar to D&D. Strength, agility, finesse, intellect, instinct, presence, and knowledge. Yeah.
There it is. Oh, okay.
And those are, instead of like a 3 to 20 scale, it's like just the modifier. So it'll be a range from like -1 to +2.
I got you.
And you just arrange those in there. Your evasion is like your armor class, and that's determined by your class that you pick. You have the most math in this game is dealing with damage.
You're winning on the low math.
Is it evasion is what it needs to hit you? And then is it like Aliens where armor you either roll or just automatically absorbs a certain amount of damage? How does so there's 2 separate things. How does evasion and armor play out?
So evasion is like, as a game master, I don't roll duality dice. I just roll a d20, and that's the number I need to beat to hit you. And if I hit you, then we start dealing. I deal damage, and then we start looking at damage mitigation, and that's where armor comes in. You have 6 points of armor, and each point of armor has a value. That depending on the type of armor you're wearing, whether it's like a leather shirt or chainmail, it can mitigate a certain amount of damage based on what it is. So every time you check off one of your armor slots, you'll reduce your damage by that much.
And that is not. So it's almost like ablative. So once you've checked that off as your armor damaged or something like that?
It is.
Okay.
And you have to spend a task in your short or long rest to repair that armor. And keep in mind, armor in this game is a very abstract notion. For example, a wizard isn't going to be walking around in plate mail. Their armor might be just some mystical ruins that they have embossed upon their robes, right? That they need to re-enchant. So it's very descriptive. It's very anything with anything.
Sounds like there's a lot that we got to look at in this game system, because you're telling us a lot, but it does sound. What do you think, Matt? I think it sounds very interesting with the.
It is very cool.
And like, it's not a lot of math, and who likes math except accountants?
Well, I note stress. So you mentioned Mutant Year Zero. I see stress on here. So we love some stress in Alien.
I love me some stress.
Oh gosh, yeah. I have one character in my Alien campaign just addicted to stress.
So how does stress play out in this? Because I think I was doing a little pre-reading. There's sometimes you have to pay a stress to use certain abilities or something like that.
Exactly. There's certain features that require you to gain a point of stress.
Oh wow.
Yeah. If I, as a game master, can assign stress points, especially if they roll with fear and they're in a stressful situation, I'll have them gain a point of stress. And stress really doesn't do anything unless you max it out. Once you hit the maximum stress value, then you're considered vulnerable. So any attacks against you will be at advantage.
So you don't start acting like Tweak from South Park with too much coffee when you have that much stress. You're like, yeah, so that's what I'd love. I think, God dang, man, you give us a lot of good information here. I appreciate it, because you're doing good describing this. I appreciate it. God, look at this display.
So this is right. And so I know I know we could go on forever. This always happens. We always think the hour is going to be really long, and then the hour's really short, right?
Yeah.
So
good topic.
Another thing that's different, I kind of remember from something I watched, but so when you level, it's a little different. Like I brought this chart up, like you can kind of pick sort of, or so how does leveling and advancement work in Daggerheart?
It's exactly what you're showing here, actually. So if you're going from level 1 to level 2, for example, you just have to go down this checklist and say, pick 2 of these things. And you can either increase your damage threshold or any of those options.
This makes it very simple.
And these are, like, I found, is this for all characters, or is this, because I'm on the fighters page, would this be the checklist?
That's standard.
For fighters?
That's standard.
That's standard for anyone, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. No.
Wow.
That's so I can't. This is something I got to look at when it comes.
Level cap is 10 in Daggerheart.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah.
How fast is leveling? I mean, is it? Because
there's no XP in this game.
Oh, okay. So it's just kind of narratively done. Because I'm thinking like I'm not an avid. I don't really watch Critical Role.
We usually
watch
do
their show. I do know that their stories expand. They're big, huge expansion stories, right? I think in their D&D they go from like level 1 to 20 or whatever. So this is 8 to 10, but it's all sort of milestone progression.
Exactly.
I like milestone progression. It just makes it. We get to the end of a story arc, and then we can argue about getting a new spell or something. But this looks pretty.
Can you imagine going back to some people do it. It's cool what they do. Do you remember counting experience points?
Oh, I know.
And different classes had different amounts, so you'd end up if you were the wizard, it would take you forever to level.
Well, remember you go away for you go on vacation, you come back, your frames of friend 3 times, they're all 2 levels higher than you, and you're getting whomped all the time because you're like, my ranger's only level 3, you dicks. Excuse me. But that's funny. No, so you got a system. It's a 2d6 d12 as cards, and your leveling system's easy. And the people creating it, of course, they've been gaming for a while. So I think it definitely is worth a look at. And you've been messing with it. And you've given some high praise to it, actually. I think.
Yeah, I guess
I'll be honest.
My final question is: are your players enjoying it?
Yeah,
I think so. I hope so.
Okay, that's
well. You're going to be honest, so honestly,
they
take us to go.
Right?
Yeah.
Honestly, when Daggerheart first came out, I was like, meh, too much accounting, too many tokens, too many. The cards are a gimmick, and this sounds just too complicated. But when I started playing with it, and actually running it, I thought, wow, this is probably one of the easiest systems for me to run because it fits like a glove, like just my style of gaming, of jamming. It was a perfect fit for me. The counting is not that hard, so they're going to make it easier when the real release comes out. And it ends up being, especially my home game, just a bunch of friends sitting around telling a really goofy story, and it's just, and you roll dice, and the dice tell the story, help enhance that story too, and that's, I think, a hallmark of a good game.
No, I agree with you, and it looks like from what you describe, it's not that much heavy lifting to get going because it's cards and it's a simple system. In you just got to have in mind what you want to do, and then once everybody's ready, you just go. I think the biggest challenge you brought up would be if you come from a system that's like the initiative based part of it and going to freedom, that's going to be an adjustment. But I don't think it's that hard of an adjustment. I think you make some good arguments for that. And some of the other things, I mean, we're back to showing the skill cards and all that. Yeah, I think it does has some teeth. I think it's something something you could sink your teeth into and enjoy. I mean, just from what we've said, I'd be willing to try it. I think it might be something you want to look at, Matt, for sex, drugs, and saving throws to run the tribe.
Yeah.
You can do it live.
I think it'd be fun.
And then people can look at us and see how we do initiative.
We can't do.
No, I wanted to watch the 10 minutes of us screwing up initiative.
Not to.
It'll be comedy gold. It'll be comedy gold.
Live.
So we'll get Chris rage quitting. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. All right. Well, so we're coming. I'm sorry, Matt, go. You got something?
No, I'm about to say exactly what you were about to say.
So we're coming to the end. And as always, in the end, I always give our guests the first shot at a closing remark. Andrew, is there anything you want to say, promote? You can promote your podcast, anything upcoming.
Sure. I'm just starting out a new podcast using the Daggerheart system called The Breaking Symphony. The first episode and the trailer are out. It should be released, I hope, every Monday. With
and
new
what
episodes.
is it on? And what is it on? Say what it's on.
It'll be on Looking for Mom. It'll be on Spotify and
Looking for Mom,
Amazon.
guys. Okay, so go to Looking for Mom and you'll see it. And then Looking for Mom, they are a good group. They do good stuff. Matt, do you have anything?
I do not.
You sure?
I can tell you when I hit Looking for Mom, you got to be really careful when you're searching.
Oh yes,
online. So, but yeah. So okay. So it's on Spotify. Will you also? Do you guys link your Spotify up to the YouTube or?
I haven't yet, but I should. You're
okay. All right. Yeah. So one thing we learned is, so we eventually hooked our regular podcast up to YouTube, and I was like, well, who's gonna they're gonna watch it. They're gonna watch it. We get, yeah. So it's not bad to put it everywhere.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Really enjoyed it. I'm super excited to dig in and give this system a shot.
Yep.
Thanks for having me. It's fun. Okay,
cool. Thank you. And on that, we have no bombshells. Usually I end on a bombshell. I don't have one for you tonight. The bombshell is take care of yourselves and all that jazz. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.